Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now it is time to introduce our main speaker for tonight, Scott.
Hey everybody, Scott, alcoholic. You guys can hear me okay? All right. Thanks to John F. for asking me to speak. I've known John for a long time now. It's been a guy I've always looked up to as a man and a musician and a sober guy, and I really appreciate him being a friend of mine. The first time I met him, he was in the most popular band in Los Angeles, and I was really intimidated, and I had heard that they needed a bass player, so I went up and asked him for an audition tape. That's how long that was ago. And he said, you know what, I think it's a big mistake, but I'll give you a tape anyways, but I think it's a bad idea. So I don't know, that's kind of what I like about him. He was honest, and he was very cool. And he gave me a tape, and I kicked ass, and then we were in a band together, and we had a great time, sober guys, kind of traveling around, touring, playing music, kind of living the dream, making a little bit of money, and basically that's what I always wanted to do. Once I got sober, I made up my mind that I wanted to be a musician and make a living doing that, and that was one of the first times where I actually got to do that. And that didn't last all that long, and shortly after that I was selling shoes at the Esprit store at Santa Monica and La Cienega. It's only women's shoes, in case you don't know. And I'm a horrible shoe salesman. I'll tell you that much. All right. So that's a good icebreaker. I also want to say hi and thanks to Howard S., who's helped out my family greatly. I got a lot of respect for him. He's also an inspiration and a guy that I look up to. So thanks, Howard. I'll be sober 19 years next month on the 7th of May. And, you know, with my continued help from God and all the amazing powers of the universe that are in my favor, I am going to stay sober that long. That's for sure. I grew up in Toledo, Ohio. I was a sick, messed up, scared little kid, very small, super sick, asthma, allergies, bad eyes, bad teeth, bad face, covered in freckles. Everything was wrong with me. And the first kind of conscious thought I had as being a kid was, it wasn't my first conscious thought, but my first moment of self-consciousness. How's that? We were at school, they were taping us on tape recorders to be in a school play or something. I heard the sound of my own voice, and I absolutely hated myself. That's kind of the first time I really hated myself. To me, I sounded like a little girl, and I was embarrassed and humiliated. Nobody else said anything about it. Just in my mind, I sounded like a little girl, and that was not sitting okay with me because I was idolizing people like Charlton Heston and Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson. Those were the men that I really looked up to. I also looked up to the men that sat alone at bar stools at restaurants and at bars. When I went out to eat with my family and there'd be like 5 or 6 old guys sitting at the counter eating cheeseburgers, smoking cigarettes, to me that was being a man. You're alone, you're fine, nobody's gonna fuck with you. That's being a grown-up. And I'd look into the bars and see guys all lined up, not talking to each other, just sitting there smoking with the mirror. That was really attractive to me. And I really dug Charlton Heston because he usually died at the end of the movies, which I thought was amazing. I was obsessed with war and obsessed with the end of the world. And my favorite movie was Omega Man, where it's basically Charlton Heston alone in Los Angeles during the day, cruising around in his big car with all his submachine guns and gasoline, looking for zombies while they're sleeping, because at night they come out and hunt him down. All right, that's a brief thing. So that's who I wanted to be. And but I kind of felt more like Charlton Heston in that movie Planet of the Apes, where he kind of woke up in a capsule with not knowing where he was and walking out, and then he was in this hostile world where he couldn't talk and nobody understood him, and he was a freak. So that's how I felt. I felt like a freak. I loved horror movies as well. I felt that I resembled the kind of old school, I think it's Lon Chaney and Phantom of the Opera. Lon Chaney 1, who is that guy? That's right. Dude, that's a cool song, dude. It is Mississippi Queen. Yeah. All right, I can talk over Mississippi Queen. That's not a problem with me. Because I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I grew up playing classic rock. I can totally roll with that. Okay, miserable, hated myself. My mother was very loving. My father was busy drinking, couldn't really deal. He was a nice guy. I don't hold it against him. He was a little kid when I was growing up, and he just basically just couldn't deal. So he left. I was on my kind of vision quest to be a man and a killer. Even though I was, 117 pounds at age 18, I was determined to be a tough guy. I'm so not a tough guy. I'm a little cancer kid from Toledo, super sensitive. The teacher would correct me at math, and I'd start tearing up in the eyes. My first job at the pizza parlor, the boss would be like, Scott, you left the oven on all night. We can't have that. I'm like, eyes filling up with tears, like, Just, that's how I am, man. I'm a sensitive dude. Stuff really messes with me. And it's hard being a little kid in Toledo, Ohio, being that sensitive. So the minute that I got some alcohol into my system, that was the answer. That really helped. So, okay, the key is to change the way that I feel. And for a long time after that, that's what I set out to do, was just do anything to avoid how I was feeling. I guess before I found alcohol, I was kind of sick. I had asthma, so they were dumping cough syrup in me at night and knocking me out. I was going to the bathroom and sneaking shots of mouthwash. And I didn't know there was alcohol in mouthwash. I had no idea. It was like Cepacol or something old school like that out of those little Dixie cups. And it just felt good. It felt warm. I felt something. It felt like something I wasn't supposed to do. And I loved doing it. I like drinking mouthwash. And I was into collecting beer cans. And the cans that were worth the most money were still full of beer. So when me and my friends were like, what if we drank some of this beer, man? We got all this beer. So I started drinking warm beer that was like 20 years old. That was really bad. All right. Alcohol really helped me. It made me feel a lot better. So I guess alcohol and drugs kind of got me through high school. I had a really hard time. Wasn't really good at anything. Started playing music and started doing a lot of drugs. It just helped me get by. So it was basically just kind of getting through. When I was a senior year, the Marine Corps recruiter came to our school and said, we'll make a man out of you. We'll train you to be a killer. And I was like, that's all the stuff I'm looking for. But I was like this little scrawny pothead kid. And but it was a challenge. So I took the challenge. I joined the Marine Corps. They brought me out to California, which had always been a dream of mine, was to make it to California. And I really thought that being in Toledo was the problem. And I needed to get away and get out of there and get to California. Got to California, became a Marine, felt great. Funny thing, when I couldn't drink in boot camp, I actually felt pretty good. It's like magically this depression and confusion started to lift. I felt really solid. I got home. First thing I did was drink, started getting depressed and confused. And that's kind of how alcohol works for me. I can't wait till I can get it, but once I start using it, I feel good for about 45 minutes. I can't get enough alcohol in me, and then I start to feel worse and worse and worse till I'm crying, stumbling around, and hiding from my best friends. And that's kind of a big part of my story, was in the Marine Corps, get a bunch of guys together, go out into town. We all love each other. It's a band of brothers. We're all rocking. We're hanging out. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to hide behind the building, hide behind the dumpster, and we'll see who loves me enough to come get me. We'll see which one of these guys really loves me. I bet Jim will come find me, you know? So my friends got tired of this routine really quick. They'd just be like, Schreiner, he's doing that thing again. And they'd leave me there, and that's what I'm looking for. That's really what I wanted, was the excuse to just completely annihilate myself. Nobody really loves me. I'm all alone in the world. I'm going to hitchhike home from Oakland to Alameda, getting picked up by really weird people, weird shit happening, feeling worse about myself. It was, it was all kind of like that. So I got kicked out of the Marine Corps for refusal to complete alcoholism treatment program. They put me on antabuse. They made me go to meetings. That's kind of the first time I had been in meetings. And there was something there that I felt really attracted to, but at the same time, I wasn't done drinking yet. Even though drinking wasn't working for me, I wasn't finished yet. And I kind of described that as like standing on the cliff. On the other side of the cliff is paradise. On the part I'm standing on is hell. But I just can't take the step over. I'm just stuck there. That's how I felt. So finally, got kicked out of the Marine Corps, went home. My mother's rule was, if you want to live with me, you got to get sober, go through treatment. Went through a treatment center for 30 days. Started coming to meetings, and it's just like a light went on in me. That's really when I started hearing stuff from people that I swore that I was the only person in the world that felt that way. I was like, I can't believe I'm hearing this, because I'm the only one that feels like that. I felt so alone and so different. You know what I mean? That whole thing of hiding and all this kooky stuff I did, I really thought I was really unique. And I come to AA, I find out I'm not that unique. I'm an individual, I have my own personality and all that stuff, but there's all these people that share this kind of common thread with me that, like it says in the big book, I think really binds us together no matter how different we are. Other kind of stuff, before I get into sober life, one of the other things that I had, I was really homesick. Of course, leaving Toledo, I thought Toledo was a problem. Getting in the Marine Corps that I thought was going to fix me. Now I got to get out of the Marine Corps, go back home to Toledo. That is the answer. I'm miserable. My own friends don't want to hang out with me. So I go to the bar. It's around Christmas time, and the base decided to get a Christmas tree and put it in the corner of the barracks. And it really upset me. It's like, I don't want to be reminded of Christmas. So every day we'd line up in the hallway. I'd see the tree, and I'd be pissed. I was like, that fucking tree. There it is. It's Christmas time. Fuck. So one night, I got really hammered at the bar by myself, sitting up at the counter, just like I always wanted to, I was pouring like Bud into a glass and drinking a glass, smoking Camel Straights, staring in the mirror, because I thought that was cool, wondering why nobody would talk to me. Right? While everybody else is like getting chicks, having fun, I'm like, man, no chicks like me. I'm just like, ugh. It sucked, dude. That sucked. I came staggering up to the barracks, saw the tree. I was like, fuck Christmas. And just like, wham, like ran, head into it, football tackle the tree into the wall, put a hole in the wall, glass breaks everywhere from all the ornaments, water splashes up, trees bit the dust. So I take the tree out of the stand, put it on my back, walk down the stairs, walk a quarter of the mile to the gates of the barracks. My friends were guarding the gates, because that's why Marines are at this naval base, to guard the naval base. They're like, hey, Schreiner, what are you doing? No, nothing. Go out the Christmas tree, take it in the parking lot, set it down on the ground, set it on fire, watch the fire, right? Really into fire back then. Watch the fire. I'm like, that's the spirit of Christmas to me. Turn around. Right? And this is in a parking lot, so it looks like a car's on fire. The naval fire people are rushing out there like crazy. I'm feeling all cool in my big long trench coat in whatever, July in Alameda. Go back inside, change my clothes, because I got tree and shit all over them. Change my clothes, go back up to the bar, have a couple more drinks, go outside, go back to the parking lot. They had left the burned up stump there. Picked up the burned up stump, brought it back inside the base, walked a quarter mile back to my room, up the stairs, put it back in the stand, and went to bed. The next morning, they lined us all up to do a roll call, and there was the blackened stump of a tree in the stand, and I felt really good about myself. I showed everybody how I felt about Christmas. And I had people looking at me and going, Schreiner, we love you, you're funny, you're fun, you're talented. What is your problem? I'm like, you know what? People just don't understand me. I don't have a problem. You know, I'm like burning myself with irons, burning myself with cigarettes. I had this self-mutilation thing. I was like so upset on the inside, but I was like the perfect Marine in my uniform and everything was totally squared away. You know what I mean? But I was like covered in scars and burns and shit. And I think it's like I wanted people to see how upset I was, but I also didn't want to do a bad job at what I was doing. So that's a good alcoholic. And that's another reason why it was kind of hard to get kicked out, but I finally got kicked out. I came home, like I told you. I went through treatment, went to meetings, started hearing stuff that really helped me out. It was kind of then that I decided, okay, I want to play music. I love music. That's what's important to me. I got my old job back. I started going to 2 meetings a day. I was going to a noon meeting and a night meeting and working in between. I found a sober girlfriend. We got together. I started going to meetings all the time. And at night, when I used to go out and get fucked up, I stayed home and practiced bass, basically. That's what I did late at night with all that energy. I had a lot of energy at age 20, 21. So I practiced my ass off, and I got really good at playing bass. And I started playing in bands and played in better and better bands, went to meetings, got a sponsor, worked the 12 steps. That once again, I started dreaming about getting out of California, inherited a big chunk of money that I thought was going to last me the rest of my life from my grandfather, God bless him. Took that money, moved to Los Angeles, came here with 5 years of sobriety. You know, people are like, you got to go to meetings right away, identify. I came in, I started going up and down the aisles trying to shake people's hands, 'cause that's how we do it in Ohio. People are like pulling their hands away, they're looking the other way, they won't tell me their name. And that's what me and my alcoholism were really looking for, was an excuse to not go to meetings. I was already scared shitless. LA was very intimidating to me. So when a couple people gave me a little bit of attitude that I perceived as attitude, I ran with it. So I stopped going to meetings. I went to that music school that you walk down Hollywood Boulevard with your guitar in a bag, and stopped going to meetings, started hanging out with my friends. About a year later, it really made sense to me that it was going to be okay to drink again. I worked out all my problems. I'm not mad at mom and dad anymore. Me and my dad are cool. I'm not confused. Everything's good. Thanks God. I got my money. I'm in LA. I'm going to be a rock star any second. Everything's cool. Let's go to Ralph's and get Rolling Rock. So we went to Ralph's. There were 3 of us. Rolling Rock. There's a good Midwestern beer for you too, right? So we went to Ralph's. There was 3 of us. We got a 12-pack. I drank 9 beers in like a half hour. And my friends are just like, dude, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I told you guys I'm a fucking alcoholic. Like, what do you think? Every time you ask me to come drinking with you, I don't drink. This is why I don't drink. Because that's how I drink. That's how I drink. Right? Once I put any kind of drug whatsoever into my system, I cannot get enough. It's just like, bam, it just triggers something in me. And I kind of forgot about that, to tell you the truth, after not going to meetings for a while and being all cured and everything and having some money in the bank. So I went and started knocking on all my friends' doors from music school, asking them if they had any drugs. Come in. I love you. I get all filled with love, before I start crying, you know what I mean? So I started hugging everybody. Then I'm wrestling everybody, putting them in headlocks. I really love you, man. And they'd kick me out. Finally I found some drugs. I went home. I threw up all this Mongolian barbecue out of my nose, like big long bean sprouts coming out. Because I used to eat at that Mongolian barbecue on Hollywood Boulevard near Western like 4 times a week. They had like all you could eat for $11 or something. Woke up in the morning, I had a little bit of drugs left over, did the drugs by myself, listened to some music, cool, there you go. But funny thing is, 2 hours later, I wasn't really drunk or high anymore, and I wasn't sober anymore, so what do you do with that? I can't be in between. That's, like I said, that's how I am. So I'm off to the store to get a can of beer, I'm trying to find more drugs. Basically, 2 weeks later, I'm doing my dream of playing music at music school, and I'm drinking and getting high every day, and I'm a disaster playing music, drinking. Disaster. I can't play a note. Okay, so I'm lucky that way in that I kind of realized that I was blowing it. I felt like I had a good connection to a higher power. I had a lot going on, and I basically just took my will back, fired God, fired everybody, and started drinking, and then I'm just a drunken kind of half-assed bass player going to MI, and that kind of sucked. So I had met a couple people. This one guy never bugged me. It was just like, if you ever do want to go to a meeting with me, come on with me. So I went to a meeting, I stuck up my hand, was super angry. You know, that's another thing. Whenever I'm fearful, I get super angry. I'm embarrassed, I'm fearful. I just turn to anger. So I'm sitting there really pissed, raise up my hand. You know, I joined a home group, started going to meetings every day again, got a sponsor, started over in the steps, and I don't care what anybody says, like even with a few years of sobriety, once I drank, I was really new again. I really had to start all over again at step one, you know, trudge all that shit out, do a whole nother inventory, make all the amends. I was brand new. And that kind of starts my sober life part 2. So since then, I'll be 19 years sober. First got sober when I was 20, drank when I was whatever, like 25-ish. Now I'm almost 44. I'm going to be 19 years sober, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about what my life's been since then. And how much time do I have? 20 minutes! Dude. And that's the 40-minute mark or the 30-minute mark? All right, wow, 30 minutes. I'm going super fast. Yeah, I could slow down. I could. But like before I came up here, I'm like guzzling green tea out of this thing. Like, I'm going to get all this green tea in me. I don't know. I guess that's whatever. That's just kind of how I am. I never really do stuff kind of that half-ass. So I'm, 26, newly sober in Hollywood. All that money that I inherited that I thought would last me the rest of my life was gone in a year. I only drank for a month. I spent the money in the other 11 months of getting clean again, just buying stupid shit and not working and all that stuff. So I got that job at the shoe store, and I started playing in bands, hooked up with John. We had a great time. Once again, it's like I took all that energy that I had and put it into music. I needed to support myself. It was really important to me. Needed to get an apartment, and I wanted to be proficient at my instrument. And it's a lot harder to do that in Los Angeles than it was in Toledo, but LA to me was the place that I had always dreamed about being. I never really felt at home in Toledo. I always felt like an alien child or something like that. Other kids, it was just the kind of neighborhood where my own friends would practice beating people up on me. You know what I mean? I'd be walking home from school, you'd be like, yo, Pete, what's up? Boosh, dush, dush. So I'm all punched up, I'm crying, they're laughing, I'm walking away. My next door neighbor was my best friend, and they decided that I wasn't cool, so they started beating me up. I just got beat up a lot as a kid. But that kind of was part of the reason that I wanted to supposedly go in the Marine Corps and be a killer so that people wouldn't beat me up anymore. And so I guess like all this anger and fear that I had, being really intimidated in Los Angeles, struggling, being super poor. Like I was going to meetings in a horrible, horrible car, and I'd park it like 3 blocks away so that nobody would see it, and get, totally hooked up in Dickies and T-shirts, like I was trying to be half a whatever gangster back then, and walk to the meeting. And I'd go to a lot of meetings alone. I had some friends, my sponsor and me were really tight, but I never really felt right at the big meetings like this one. I walked in, my self-esteem was still really shot, was really insecure, was really hung up on how I looked and how girls weren't paying enough attention to me or whatever the thing was. I basically felt really bad about myself. But I worked the steps hard. I kept coming to meetings. I kind of took that as a challenge. So I was never really a popular kid in school. I wasn't a popular kid in AA. But to me, like I said, it's a challenge, and I kept working at it. And for me, the way to feel better about myself and to gain self-esteem is by doing esteemable acts, even if I don't feel like it. So to me, working and making a living is an esteemable act. Working the steps is an esteemable act. Showing somebody else how to work the steps is an esteemable act. And also, kind of, my duty and as part of the 12 steps. So this kid asked me to sponsor him. I wound up speaking by accident at some meeting. This kid asked me to sponsor him. I thought he was crazy for asking me. But, he heard something in me that he related to. So we started working the steps. I had a lot of free time. I lived in a tiny apartment. And he would call me up every night and talk to me between like an hour, hour and a half about how miserable he was, and he was never going to score chicks and never going to be a successful anything. And I had the time, to tell you the truth. I wasn't doing anything else at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And that stuff really helped me. That kept me sober. spending an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. At that point, talking to another alcoholic, an hour, hour and a half a day, going to meetings, you know, an hour exercising and 7 hours at work, like that's a full day and you're gonna be tired, you know? It's not boring. It was really fun. It was hard, but you know, I was tired and I worked hard. So I started getting a few more sponsees, working steps with guys has always been super important to me. But my career stuff wasn't really working out. I'd gone on a lot of auditions. You know, I'm like the kind of guy, like I said, I work hard, but I'd wait till like 12 hours before the audition to start working hard. Like I'll procrastinate all week long. You know, I'm gonna audition for, you know, some big guy, and I start learning the song like 8 hours ahead of time. So by the time I'm in the audition, I totally choke and I'm a mess and I don't get the job anyways. But I've gotten better at treating myself better in that regard. So I don't know how to kind of get this in the right direction. I played in a lot of bands, kept meetings as my priority. You know, I worked in the film business. I started making a little better money, driving trucks around with gear in it and stuff. So I thought I was either going to be a truck driver or a rock star. And I kind of thought being a Teamster would be cool. I could get fat, no offense to any Teamsters. I could get overweight and smoke cigarettes and eat donuts. That's totally fine. And that's an honest way to make a living. I'm totally down with that. I just kept working and working, and then, you know, one summer, the band I was in was kind of really going south, and I decided that I was just going to put the word out to everybody that I wanted to get in a different band. And I started playing in everybody's band that I could. The guys are doing a blues jam. I hate the blues. I hate to jam. I went to blues jam. You know what I mean? Guys are doing a classic rock cover night at the Mint. Please let me have that gig. I want to do that gig. Like every gig I could get, I took. I answered the phone every time it rang, which I can't say for myself now. But at that time, I always answered the phone, showed up to every audition that I got a chance to get. And eventually I got a call from a guy that was in a band that I had always loved and asked me if I wanted to come and just kind of fill in for them. And I went and filled in, and I wound up getting that job. And that's been amazing. So I've been playing in this band. I play in Weezer. I've been playing in this band for like 11 years now, and it's been awesome. It's really hard. I started making more money. The pressure that comes with making more money, it's like I earn the money that I'm making, but it's a great gig. So I think a big part of that summer was me also kind of asking God to, you know, relieve the bondage of self and relieve the problems that I had, that I may better serve Him. You know what I mean? And that I can help others from, you know, from the help that I was asking for, because I was just taking a beating. You know, it's not like I'm looking for a bunch of recognition. I like recognition, you know, and I like to make money at well, but really I kind of found out in sobriety that the only way I can feel good is by helping other people. And to me, part of playing music is watching other people have a good time, you know what I mean? And to stoke people up. That's a big part of what I like about it. So I was like, hey, this is what I like to do. It stokes people up. Can I kind of get in a place where I could maybe support myself and put together a family and still serve you and serve the world? That's something, a gift that you gave me. You know, I'm not saying that God will answer everybody's prayers or whatever, but my experience is that I got a break and I got a job doing exactly what I always wanted to do. And that's been an awesome job. And my life really took off since then. It wasn't long after that I met my now-to-be wife. Now-to-be? Now she is my wife. Don't get that wrong. We've been married going on 5 years now. I've been going out for 7 years. And she's the kind of girl that when I first saw her, I didn't like her. I knew she was trouble. She looked like a lesbian stripper and exactly my type with the black bangs, black hair, fucking really super dynamite, couldn't stand her, was super mean to her, and she happened to like that and like me. All my other friends were falling over dead, trying to ask her for a date, trying to show her how to bowl. I ignored her and acted like a dick, which is not that hard for me to do. And she kind of, you know, approached me, and then once I started talking to her, I found out that she had been kind of a lesbian stripper in the past. But that she she had a heart of gold. She was in beauty school and was, gonna get off the dancing and get into beauty school. She was sober. She was going to school, driving herself there, and I just knew she had a lot of guts. And we went on a road trip, and if you really want to test your romance, go on a week-long road trip and make no plans and have no idea where you're going. Don't book any hotels, don't know any towns. We set up with the almanac, we got it out, and an atlas, and we got it out, and we picked the town that we were going to, and we got along great, for a week solid of being totally lost, staying in horrible hotels. It was super romantic and super awesome. And I pretty much thought that I was going to ask her to marry me in Reno, but Reno was a hole, man. And I thought it was going to be cool, but it sucked. There's just tweakers everywhere, and I was like, I can't ask this girl to marry me here. It sucks here. So we came back home. I asked her to marry me probably another year and a half later. She's an amazing person. Still surprises me how talented she is. Not only is she gorgeous, not only is she good at sex, not only did she make our house look amazing, right? She can fix up a house, but she couldn't cook worth shit. And I was like, that's all right. I can deal with that. We can order out. You're hot, sex is great, you're really nice to me, really patient with me. And then a few months ago, she took cooking lessons, and now she cooks like a pro. Right? All right. So I have the best girl in Los Angeles. And I think on our first date, I interrogated her about all her past activities, which I don't recommend. But we talked about having children. We talked about everything. The first night at Norm's on La Cienega. And so we decided we wanted to put a family together. And we actually just adopted a baby a year ago. We flew down to Ethiopia and adopted a little boy. He's 10 and a half months old, and he is unbelievable, this kid, and he's a true one of us. He's a true Shriner. That's my name. He's like a little showboat, show off, loves to dance, loves to have a good time, just a little fireball of energy, and he fits in perfect with us, and I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more in love with my wife, couldn't be more in love with him. I love my life. I'm crazy about my career. I love my friends. Crazy about AA. I love God. I love pizza. I still love the Marine Corps. I love hot dogs. But I like the organic hot dogs now. That's kind of my thing. Sorry, John. Yeah, my life's really good, and it continues to be a challenge. I imagine it's different being a dad at 44 than it is at 20. It's harder for me to wake up in the middle of the night and get up super early in the morning. I had a bunch of patterns that I was really set with. I like the house to be exactly a certain way, and all these things have been completely shattered, and the house is a disaster. We're both tired all the time. My wife is, not only all that stuff, she works and makes money too, and is creative, so just to add one more thing for your count. And she's a really awesome mother to my son, and we have a great time together. Okay, having said all that, I'm still an alcoholic. My head is still a total war zone half the time. I still have problems with self-esteem and ego. I'm a compulsive buyer of music equipment and 70s movie soundtracks and whatever it is that I get into at the time. I still love to get out of myself. As amazing as my life is, in my perfect yard and my perfect house with everything I ever wanted, plus 50, I still like to get out of myself and feel different than I feel. I'm still an alcoholic, and shopping does that for me. Overeating does that for me. Over-exercising. So it's something I'm still working at. I finally learned how to meditate a couple years ago. That really helped me out. I still pray every day. I sponsor guys still. I'm busier now. I don't answer the phone every time it rings. It takes me a minute to call people back, but the same stuff that worked for me when I was new still works for me now. AA is still my number one priority. Without, obviously without AA, without being sober, I have nothing. I already proved that to myself once. I was this far away from not making it back. It was a real miracle that I even made it back. And I'd always thought that, hey, you got some time, you go drink, it's no big deal. You come back to AA, you start over, you feel like a dick for a while, but you start over and you'll be cool again. And I've seen so many people never make it back. Like so many people. The fact that I made it back is it's amazing. You know, and it's not because I'm special. You know, once again, I caught a break. I don't know what happened, but sobriety is something to truly cherish, you know. So I kind of learned that lesson once. Just because you have everything doesn't mean that you're cured. Just because you have the life you wanted doesn't mean you're not an alcoholic anymore. Like they say, once a pickle, always a pickle. I'll be an alcoholic till the day I die. Like me and my wife were talking last week, like maybe like when we're 80, I'm going to say that I said this, so I'm not putting words in her mouth. Maybe when we're 80, it'll be all right to be able to sit there and have a beer, to smoke some weed or something, you know? And I got the feeling that I am going to be a horrible just have a beer drinker, because I could never have just a beer. Never worked for me. Maybe 3 times I could have a couple of beers. But that is just not in my DNA makeup. You know, I had thought that I had lost my connection to my higher power, you know what I mean, before I drank. But then once I drank, I really felt what losing your connection with the higher power is like. It was just like a complete sever in that connection that I had worked on all that time. So you might not think it's there, but trust me, it's there. And it benefited me to hang on to the edge of my seat and not drink. And I'll tell you for a second, I had some hard times being sober, like getting off the phone with the sponsee, going in the closet. I had brought a shotgun to Los Angeles to defend myself against all the gang members that I had saw movies my whole life and zombies that were possibly going to attack at any time. So on the way out of Ohio in my Honda Wago van, I went to the gun store and bought a pistol grip 12 gauge and a bunch of ammo and drove to Los Angeles with my bass amp, a coffee machine, a couple pairs of clothes, shotgun, a bunch of ammo, and like $40,000 in traveler's checks or some shit. That is nuts, man. So, but I kind of always remembered the shotgun being in there, and when I was having some hard times, I was like, I gotta shoot something, you know what I mean? It's like something's gotta blow up around here. So I'd be like, I just go out, I'll shoot some street lights, or I'll shoot my car. Like, how much trouble could I get in for shooting my own car? No big deal. But really frustrated, like racking the rounds in, taking them out, putting them in, taking them out, just like hearing the click, clack, clack. And I was like, oh, it's so cool. And I felt so horrible, but I couldn't kill myself because I really felt that, you know, I would come back with a lot less awareness that I already had. You know, the chances is I'd come back with a lot less equipment to get the job done. And I'll tell you guys something, I got a fucking job to do. I really do. My job is to make the world a better place, to help people, and to spread the miracle that I have as far as I can to other people, you know? And I'm serious about it. So that's what I'm asking God with help today, for help with today. So thanks you guys for listening and hanging there.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here. remote control is connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.